Hello and welcome to the oddschecker Cheltenham Festival Preview 2021, sponsored by Betfair. I am your host, George Elek, and today we will be previewing day 3 of the Cheltenham Festival, the Thursday of racing, and we have an expert panel of guests here joining me today. We've got in the oddschecker corner, we've got Andy Holding, oddschecker's very own tipster, Tony Calvin, who does the tipping for Betfair amongst other things as well, and the exchange expert and Betfair Barry Orr joins me as well. How are we all, guys? All well?
All good.
Yep, looking forward to it.
We did the pleasantries and the weather at the beginning of the Tuesday preview. So if you want to hear how the guys are doing, or you want to hear what the going's going to be like, go back to Tuesday as well. But we're going to get straight into the racing here. Before we do so, just going to point you in the direction of the oddschecker app. Do download it for all the very best prices, the best bookie offers, free bets, and some of the best tipsters going in the game, including Andy himself, whose tips will be on the app every single morning ahead of the day's racing. And that's the whole year as well, not just over Cheltenham Festival. And the prices I'm going to be quoting, we'll be speaking to Barry about what's going on over on the exchange, as well as his insight on the racing. The prices I'll be quoting will be the best available on the oddschecker grids, where you can also see which firms are non-runner no bet or non-runner money back as well. You can see there, which is important to make sure that if you do back a horse at this stage a week before the festival and it doesn't run, you do not lose your money. Sometimes better to take a bit of a shorter price around those. But we will start then with the Marsh Novices Chase, where Envoy Allen is currently the 5-6 favourite ahead of Energumene, who we do not expect to take up his entry here. We expect to be running in the Arkle, but Energumene currently 7-2. Shan Blue is 8-1. Monkfish, again, unlikely to run, so I'll ignore that price, but 8-1 if you want to be backing Monkfish. Chantry House, 10-1. Chatham Street Lad, 14-1. Sporting John, 16-1. And as we did with the Supreme on day one, Barry, I'm going to come to you first here just to kind of, as well as giving us your thoughts on the race, just confirm with what I'm saying with the horses that we probably won't expect to see here.
Yeah, I suppose Envoy Allen's going to scare a lot of them away, isn't he? He's odds on. He has been for quite some time now. He's a low of 186. He's 188 now, so he's not far off his lowest that he's traded in the race. And he hasn't done anything wrong. He's the Irish banker coming to the meeting, and he's sure to go off odds on. It's just imagine how short. It's just a matter of how short he gets. Energumene won't rock up here. Monkfish won't rock up here. Shamblou looks certain to take him on. I'm not sure which one of Chantry House or Sporting John, 2 JP horses, which one of them's going to take him on. Nearly 200 grand match in the race, and 80% of it has been on him on the exchange in the anti-post market. So I'll give you an indication of what people think of him and this race. I can't see past him, to be perfectly honest with you. He's not my sort of price, but I'm just going to sit back and enjoy this. I'm not even going to look for something each way in the race. This is just going to be one for the purists. We're going to see next year's Gold Cup winner win over 2.5 miles at the festival on the Thursday.
Yeah, that's exactly when I spoke to Betfair ambassador Paul Nicholls earlier today, and I asked him if he could choose any horse to train from another yard. He said Envoy Allen, and said he'll be a big Gold Cup contender next year. I mean, Tony, 1.88, 1.89 at the moment. Envoy Allen. Can we find any way to oppose him, and how short do we reckon he'll be on the day?
Well, I suppose the one issue that I may have had with him, that he hasn't done it in a big field over fences, but we're not, as Barry said there, we're probably not going to get a big field, are we? So I think he may not have run up to his class that he showed over hurdles quite yet, but I don't think I don't play anything like those prices, but I think 10 to 11 is a fair price. I mean, if you ask me whether to back or lay Envoy Allen at 1.88, I'll probably go down the backing route. But there's been a real underplayed market here, and that's Betfair. The Betfair Sports went up betting without Envoy Allen, and they allowed each way betting as well. So I probably shouldn't tell Barry, actually, because he might go and look at my account and shut me. But I played some dirt. I think I played some absolutely astonishing value in this race. I backed Shamblou, I think at I'm not sure exactly what price. I backed him each way without. I think he might be in 4s 9-2. I backed Chatham Street Lad at 9-1 each way without. I'm not a big fan of Chantry House. Not a big fan of Sporting John. I can't see much depth to it. And over the last 48 hours, I've taken a flyer and I've backed Blackbow, non-runner money back each way without the favourite at 25 to 1, and I'm topping up at 16s at the moment. Now, Blackbow has been confirmed at the 5-day stage for the Arkle, but I just think they could switch this horse down the 2 mile 4 route, because he impressed me first time up when winning, and I think he's failed since as well. But I think it's fair to say they've ridden him with an eye to the future in 2 of his subsequent 3 starts since that win. And I just think he could be tailor-made for sitting off it over 2 mile 4 in this kind of race. And it's interesting. They got stamina doubts. His point win came over 2 mile 4 instead of the traditional 3 miles. But I've seen enough in his performances so far that suggests that he could, he could excel at this kind of trip. I don't think, looking at the Arkle, I don't think they should be going down that route. I think if they want to place this horse and maybe pick up the pieces if something does happen to Envoy Allen, I think this is an ideal opportunity now. I think he's got the raw ability. He's finished 5th in a bumper. And like I said, I was impressed by his win, although he's made all that day. But they haven't forced a hand since from the front. And I just think a patient ride in this kind of race over a trip that I think he should excel at. I think 16 to 1 each way, non-run and money back without Envoy Allen is a very interesting price. It's one of those bets where you're probably going to get your money back if they do go down the Arkle route. Yeah. But I have half a suspicion they'll go down the longer trip route, and I can see him finishing 2nd, 3rd quite easily.
Andy, I'm sure you'll probably want to talk about that market too. It's right up your street, the each way without the favourite angle. But first, can I get your thoughts on Envoy Allen?
Yeah, I think if there's female horses out there that have dating preferences for dating websites, they very much be swiping right, wouldn't they, when they look at Envoy Allen?
That's what he's on about.
He's just an equine superstar, isn't he? There's not a lot to be said about this horse. I think we need to enjoy him and nurture him while he's still around. He's a 7-year-old. I think if we get another 3 or 4 good years out of him, who knows what heights he could scale. I'm already looking forward to next year's Gold Cup when he takes on Monkfish. I think that's going to be something to say, because I think him and Monkfish are the dominating, going to be the dominating forces in seasons to come. They're the 2 up-and-coming young horses that have just been breathtaking so far this season. Envoy Allen hasn't actually run a speed figure of any great note in his 3 chase wins, which Tony's already pointed out. They've been small fields, even though they've been grade 1s. He's basically just jogged round. He hasn't really had to come out of 3rd gear. Even the 2 that he beat in the Drinmore, Home on the Lee and Cocoa Beach, have won big races since, so he wasn't beating any slouches. But when he's forced to go big, this fella can go big, as we've got the proof in last year's Ballymore. He ran the fastest time figure of the entire festival when he won the Ballymore, according to our numbers last season. So if Chamblou goes hard from the front, and I think knowing how Dan and Harry Skelton approach their races when they've got a hot pot to take on, they'll want to try and see what he's made of. They'll put play to his own strengths, and the good thing about Chamblou is he's a fantastic jumper. That they won't want to die not knowing with Chamblou. So he'll be off in front and give Envoy Allen a nice tow through. I just think Envoy Allen will outstay him at the end, as he did in last year's season's Ballymore when he was in top gear. It's a great bit of business that Tony's had on Chamblou, but even more so the bit of business he's had on Chatham Street Lad, who I think will very much be ridden like he did when he won the handicap here, the Caspian Caviar. One of the most impressive winners of the season. Fantastic time figure. I think Connections then got almost wrapped up with their own hype, and they thought he was a good thing when they went dropping back down to 2 miles next time out at Punchestown. Was it Fairy House or Punchestown? I think it was Fairy House, wasn't it? And he just didn't fire that day for one reason or another. But although he did get beat by a decent horse on his day, Daily Tiger, in 2 castles in that race, so there's quite a bit of substance to that defeat. But 2.5 miles is definitely his bag. He's a strong traveller, and he will also appreciate the very fast pace. So the 8 to 1. With that one firm that Tony said, is a fantastic each way bet without Envoy Allen, who I expect to win this and shorten significantly for next year's Gold Cup as well. He's one of the bankers along with Monkfish.
What price do you think Envoy Allen will go off? It's 4 to 7 SP last year for the Ballymore.
Depends on the runners. I think Tony's right. I think we're only going to get 6 or 7 runners in this. There'll be a lot of connections looking at it, thinking, well, they're waiting to find out, what the last minute movements are in Envoy Allen, but it looks almost certain now with everything set in stone. He's gone to Henry de Bromhead. He'll come over, no problem. He should be a 4 to 6 shot or even shorter, really, on what he's capable of doing, not what he's done already. Because, like I said, the time figures I've got him doing don't represent an 8 to 11 shot, but like I say, his hurdle form, we know he can go really big.
Envoy Allen there, a 4 to 6 shot currently on the exchange, about 1.88, so maybe a bit of value. And the horses mentioned to take him on. Shamblu is 8 to 1, best price with Betfair Sportsbook. Chatham Street Lad, best price with Sportsbook as well at 14 to 1. And as Tony mentioned, the without market with the same firm, current price is 7 to 2 Shamblu and 8 to 1 Chatham Street Lads. We'll move on to the Pertemps, where Imperial Alcazar for Fergal O'Brien is the 5 to 1 favourite. The Boss's Oscar 7 to 1. Champagne Platinum 7 to 1. Come on Teddy 12 to 1. Brinkley to 14. Southfield Harvest 16. 20 to 1. Milner, Mr. Harp, Mrs. Milner, Dandy Mag, plenty of them there at 20 to 1, and plenty bigger too. Another one where you think you probably want to be taking the insurance to make sure you get your money back if they don't run. Andy, I'll stick with you here because when speaking the other day to the trainer of the favourite here, Imperial Alcazar Fergal O'Brien, he, whilst he was very positive about Imperial Alcazar's chances, basically just said that in his opinion it is very, very hard for British trainers to win this race, given the way that the Irish horses are treated by the Irish handicapper. So are you surprised to see Imperial Alcazar at the top of the market?
Yeah, I am. I mean, he's got to be respected, but look, the English just have lost the thread with this race and know how to win it. I think Call the Cops was the last one who won it, wasn't it, back in 2015? But there's a bit of a trend developing here. Maldini presenting Percy, Delta Work, Sir de Burley. And most of those winners there I've just mentioned are trained by Gordon Elliott, or come out of the Gordon Elliott camp. And more predominantly, they've raced in that Leopardstown Pertemps qualifier over the Christmas period, which is a lovely race to do for a speed analysis, because we get the grade 1 on the same card as well, so we can tell how good they are and do our own split screens and sectionals, and it works out perfect. Basically, the Pertemps qualifier yet again was miles better than Flooring Porter's race. So yeah, you need no look further than the Boss's Oscar. They'll go on about, he's gone up 8, but why is the British handicapper giving him £8 more? It doesn't make any difference. They gave Presented Percy an extra stone. It made no difference. This fellow will be running in the Stays Hurdle next year. Make no mistake. And he'll have his ideal conditions. I don't think he really wants a bog. I just think he wants nice ground. Not sure he was absolutely ridden as if his life had depended on it to win that qualifier. They got him qualified, job done, and that's it. Put him away and bring him here. So yeah, keep it simple. Boss's Oscar wins the Pertemps.
Boss's Oscar wins the Pertemps, and you heard it here first. Tony, can you be as bullish?
No, I played an English horse in this. It's Honest Vic. I think the 20 and 25 to 1 that knocking around is too big. Now, obviously, he comes here off the back of a last of 10 in a Jumpers bumper last month, but I pay no attention to those races. I can't fathom them out, and whether they're a stepping stone to fitness or whatever, I just pretty much ignore them. So hopefully it was a fitness issue, because he hasn't run for a while. But this horse was as a staying on 5th in the Coral Cup last year over 2 mile 5. Came out, was really impressive at Cheltenham in October. Went up £9 for that, but I thought he ran really well at Newbury the time after, obviously against the Stayers Hurdle opposition. So I think you can mark that. Whether something went wrong there, because I think he travelled really well throughout the race, and his run just like petered out, and the jockey didn't seem to persevere when he was still in with a chance. So even though he has gone up to a mark of 150, on what I saw at Newbury last time, and obviously we got the course form, obviously we got the festival form. I think he's a decent each way shout. I like Andy. I struggle with Imperial Alcazar, having won one of the qualifiers and gone up. I think he went up £8 as well, hasn't he? So I can't have him at 5s. I reckon that's got Drifter written all over it. But yeah, for me, obviously, with these handicaps, I like to get the final fields like we said before, I like to get the pace angle. I like to know what the ground is. But for me at the moment, of the home opposition, I like Honest Vic around about 20s, 21 plus, and I think he's around about the 25-1 win only all in on the exchange as well, which is I think is fair as well.
That is a great shout, by the way. I'll just interject there if I can. That Honest Vic, he clocked a big number, Tony, when he won at Cheltenham early on in the season. He actually comes out second top of our numbers. And I don't know if when you go back and watch the Grady race at Newbury, nothing wanted to make the running, did he? So he jumped off, probably not with the idea of making the running. But then the thing that of the Tiz odds overtook him as they went out to the final circuit, and he then chased the pace, didn't he? Went mad and absolutely raced this thing of Tiz odds that went by him all the way down the back. And it was quite obvious he was going to burn himself out, but he did quite well to finish fifth, I thought, in the end. The jump was bumpy. He raced all the way around the outside. That day at Kempton, you needed to be right hard on the rail as well, so he was always going to tail off, having raced 4 or 5 deep. So yeah, that's a fair shout. That is at 25-1.
And if we do get decent ground, they might well water if they have a very dry week on the Wednesday night, but decent ground would really suit him as well. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I haven't gone overboard about it, but I played him at 20s and 25s.
20s and 25s, yeah, 22-1 best price at the moment on the grids for non-runner no bet. Interesting to hear Tony say that Imperial Alcazar has drift written all over it, because there's a couple of quid basically queuing up at 6.2, 6.8, Barry. But who do you fancy for the Pertemps?
Listen, this race, there's £12,000 matched on the Betfair exchange, and that just gives you an indication what punters think of it. It's not a race that gathers any sort of momentum till you see the 48-hour decks, and then the plots all become a little bit more clear. They're definitely going to have to look at the qualifying criteria for this race. Yeah. It's the same every year. It's probably the least traded race on the exchange year in, year out, and I'd say that's reflected on the sports book as well. But it's 5 to field at the moment. Imperial Alcazar, 5 places to each way punters in the anti-post market on the sports book. 6 Champagne Platinum. Boss's Oscar 7. He's been the real plot horse in it, I suppose, the Boss's Oscar after last year. Honourable mention to Southfield Harvest and Stormer Rising for Paul Nichols. He gives them a big shout in his Cheltenham preview. I know you were talking to him earlier today as well, and I'm sure he's echoed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I hope Paddy Brennan doesn't listen to this, because I do some work with him, so he's not going to like me dissing his main chance at the festival. But you got to be honest.
Yeah, I'm sure Paddy, knowing him, would appreciate the honesty rather than anything else.
He's a no bullshit person, old Pad.
Spot on. I asked him for an interview the other day, and his response was no. He's
a judge as well.
I know. It was said with a smile and a lift to the mug of the cup of tea he was having, but it was still a no. On then to the Ryanair, the third race on the Thursday, and it's quite nice, I think, to have a fairly open race to discuss without some kind of 6-4 favourite in one of these big races of the week, where Allaho is the 5-1 favourite, just ahead of Min at 6-1, Imperial Aura 13-2, Mellon 7-1, Mr. Fisher 8-1, Fakir Duderi 8-1, St Calvados 9-1, Kenboy 10-1, 12-1 bar. Open race, as I say, at the moment. I'm sure it'll look very different come race time on Thursday. So I guess kind of the question is, who do we expect to be sent off favourite and therefore looks value at the moment? Tony?
Looking at the market there, I haven't got a clue in this race. I generally think you can make a decent case for 8 or 10 of them. This kind of race I find it really hard to fathom. I think Fakir Duderies, after the run last time and after he's running the Yarkle last time, I think this trip could be his optimum, but he's no massive giveaway around the body, about an 8-1 chance. There's so much depth to this race. I couldn't have the favourite. At the current price. I don't have an opinion, and I probably won't have a tip in the race. Personally, from a punting point of view, this is the kind of race where I can just see about 5 or 6 coming down the last, all guns blazing. The way I might play it on the exchange, I might put in keep bet lays at around about the 2-1 mark, 305 maybe, just over 2-1, and try to lay the whole field at 305, and hopefully I'll get at least 2 in the book. I can see this race being a real kind of like humdinger up after the last, and I might. I've been thinking about the way to play the race, because I like to have an interest in most races. yeah, I might try and lay every single runner there just over 2-1, and hopefully capture at least 3 in the in-running pin. But looking at the race as a whole, I just think it's a massive head scratcher.
Yeah, absolutely.
No opinion.
Tough to make sense of at the moment. Barry, no opinion for Tony. What's your opinion?
I'm the same. I just couldn't make head nor tails of it. I thought it was a very difficult race. It's not a race that prompts any sort of excitement for me. Just looking at them at this stage, 5 to field, Alaho's 5, Imperial Aura 7.888, Mellon Min 7.8 needs to come back. St. Calvados probably the one that's sure to run his race, but whether it's good enough, who knows? It's a no bet race for me.
Andy, we've spoken a fair bit over the years about Min, who, if you, it's one of those classics where if you put a line through that last run, surely then you'd be looking at Min being the class horse in the race. But are we able to do that? And if not, then who else is there in there?
Well, I think Min has probably divided a lot of opinion, hasn't he, over the years? But he got his day in the sun, didn't he, last year when he won it last year? And I think they found the key to him. He's making the running and being quite aggressive over 2.5 miles. Obviously, he didn't make the running last time, and he made that bad mistake. It's not ideal to come off that pull up in that Grade 1 at Leopardstown. The only problem I've got with Min is he's not going to be able to dominate here because his stable companion Alaho is likely to carry the torch for the Close Sutton camp, I would have thought, from the front. And the majority of the winners of the Ryanair, if you go back and look at the last history, they've either made all the running or track leaders, if you look at the comments. So you do want something right on the speed here. And it's a point worth making as well. The new course, the Chase track, very much lends itself to front runners. I think McCoy won it on, I think, of Alan Kingston many years ago, and he nicked it from the front and never looked like getting caught. So, yeah, I think Uxie Sondra, I think it was, wasn't it, if my memory serves me correct. So, yeah, it's very much a slot the right horses in to fit the style of the race. So Alaho's got to be a factor. I'm agreeing with the guys, though. It's a race at the moment. I haven't quite got my head around. If the ground was to dry out and it was to be genuinely good to soft, I think Mr. Fisher's a player. He loves the new course. He hates the inside track, as he proved in the big handicap before back in November. But he was good the next day, back on better ground, back on the new course. And he ran really well in the Marsh last year. That was a bit unlucky. And I've been told that St. Calvados worked really well in the cheek piece his first time. He's apparently a different horse now with the headgear on. He can race a little bit lazily sometimes. But he was unlucky in the race last year, wasn't he? Should have probably beaten Min. And with the Harry Whittingham team coming into form in the last week or two, all the stars are aligning for St. Calvados to go well. So my shortlist would be Mr. Fisher and St. Calvados out of the ones I've mentioned.
So probably at the time of recording, a no-bet race, but Mr. Fisher and St. Calvados, the two that deserve a second look, maybe come the day for Andy there. We'll move on then to the Stayers Hurdle, where Time Hill and Paisley Park are joint 130 favourites ahead of Cider Burley. Flooring Porter 12-1. Roxana we don't think, be running here at 12-1. The Storyteller 14s. I'm just going to skip past Champ, who's listed at 16-1, but we expect to go for the Gold Cup. Liz Nagaroska, 16-1, last year's winner. Vindication 16-1, who looks set to be taking up this entry. Spoke to Kim Bailey and said unless a few come out at the top of the market in the Gold Cup, Vindication likely to race here. Got some very, very smart hurdles form as well. Kenboy 20-1, Fury Road 20-1 too. Andy, we'll start with you because we've spoken quite a lot over the last year since you first put Cider Burley up, and you've remained fairly confident that Cider Burley will play a major part here. A week before the race, or just over a week before the race, and Cider Burley 8-1 third favourite. How are you feeling about your position now?
He's very much had the season that I thought he would. I knew he was going to be lightly raced, like he is most years. That they obviously qualified him for the Pertemps final and put him away before shipping up here. And that's a great thing with Cider Burley. You just know that he comes alive at the festival. You can forget basically what he's done previously to that, almost. So the fact that he managed to win a grade race and finish third in a Grade 1 was almost a bit of a bonus. I didn't really expect him to shine behind Flooring Porter in that Grade 1 at Leopardstown. And the form as it stands is worth absolute, a bag of soot, to be honest. They went so slowly. It was clearly going to play into the hands of Flooring Porter. I think Flooring Porter's an absolute million to win this. I really do. Everyone's talking him up. I think he's just not good enough. Cider Burley, I think he'll be a different horse come Cheltenham. He's been there and done it. Better ground will suit him. Obviously, the yards now in much better nick. he comes alive here. The pressure's off with Sir de Burley, really, to be honest. He'll come here a little bit under the radar, or be his third favourite, because obviously other horses such as Time Hill and Paisley Park have done something that he hasn't so far this season. But I'm still a big believer in this horse. He'd be the one horse, if you're a jockey and you look behind you coming down to the last and it's Sir de Burley, because there's only going to be one result. He'll just come and eat you alive, like he's done every single horse that he's taken on at the previous festival. So yeah, I'm still a big fan, and yeah, I hope he proves me right.
Would you still be advising a bet at 8-1?
I've seen worse bets than that, to be honest. You know, he like I say, his numbers when he won the last year's Pertemps were miles better than the Stays Hurdle race, which I've talked about till I'm blue in the face. So if he runs, he's only got to run to the same level. There's nothing that I've seen of him so far this season to suggest he won't. Then he's got to be bang there. So whatever beats Sir de Burley, I'll probably win.
Well, 8-1 best price with Betfair Sportsbook. And Barry, you know, Time Hill, Paisley Park, it's one apiece in their recent head-to-heads, and the market can't split them on the oddschecker grids. Is there any difference between the two on the exchange?
Very little, just marginal preference for Time Hill over Paisley Park, 4.4 and 4.9 respectively. 8.8 Sir de Burley, and it's 13 Flooring Porter, 16 the Storyteller, Lisnagar Oscar, 19.5. I'd be inclined to agree with the market. Time White traded at 14-1 on, I think, in Ascot last day. I think might be ridden a little bit more differently this time round, and that just not get there too soon. It's a fascinating contest between the two of them at the head of the market, but again, it's a race that I won't be getting involved in. I'm just going to look on. 4 places to each way punters in the anti-post sportsbook market as well at the moment.
Yeah, Tony, any view?
Yeah. If Barry hasn't played, I've had his share, and plenty of others as well. I've got loads of positions here. I've been laying the front two in the market. Got them in the book around about just between 5-4 and 11-8 combined. I'm quite happy to have the field running for me. Or the opposite of that, 8-11, 4-5. I think they're very beatable. I don't think they have that much in hand of quite a few of these. I've been playing Lisnagar Oscar before the Haydock run and afterwards as well. I think he's still very fair value at 16-1. Obviously, he won the race last year. May not have been a vintage renewal, but he won it well in the end, and I know that race has bad memories for the runner-up for Andy with Ronald Pump, but we won't go there again. But no, I think that was possibly underplayed, that merit of that performance. I thought he ran all right at Wetherby first time up under a penalty, struck into himself and made a noise when he travelled well into the race and just petered out at Newbury. If anything, I thought he might have run too well at Haydock, because even though Third Wind is quite a lowly rated horse in Grade 1 terms, he's always promised to put up a higher figure. So in just failing to give him weight, I thought that was a great comeback run from Lisnagar Oscar after that wind up. So at 16-1, 4 places, I would recommend him. In the last few days, I backed Sir de Burley 8-1 each way, 4 places, and I backed the horse that finished second to him last year, the Storyteller. I played him 12-1 each way, 4 places as well. So I've laid the front 2. I played Sir de Burley, Lisnagar Oscar, and the Storyteller each way, 4 places. If neither of those come in the first 4, and either Time Hill or Paisley Park win, I will cry.
Oh, we don't want you to cry, Tony. Fingers crossed that's not the case come Thursday.
No, like I say, I'm in touch with my emotions. So if I've done the lot, then there will be a tear in my eye and a gin in my hand. Yes.
If anybody saw somebody sitting on a bench at Cheltenham last year crying after the shedding a tear after Goshen, it might well have been me. So I know where you're coming from. And it's good that we're speaking about the 4 places here, because only Betfair Sportsbook and Paddy Power are offering a 5th to 4 places in the stayers as it stands on time of recording around midday on Thursday the 11th.
What's great about the Sir de Burley price, it's solid. The 8-1 is also very, very. It's bang on the exchange price as well. And obviously, and you're getting the extra place as well. And we know that it's got a really solid profile going at the festival. I really do think the 8-1, probably, if you ask me now, the Sir de Burley 8-1, 4 places is probably the premier bet in the race. But like I said, I've got many angles into this. Hopefully, a winning one.
Plenty of ways to play it, but interesting that none of the three expert guests really too taken to either back either of the top two, who I'm sure will be popular on the day, but should mean there's some value at bigger prices. We'll move on to the Paddy Power Plate then, where Farclas and Conflated are the two favourites at 8-1. A Wave of the Sea, a bit of money for A Wave of the Sea over the last couple of days, now 10-1. Caribbean Boy 12-1. The Shunter 12-1. Fidu Dairy 14. 16's Mr. Whitaker and Chatham Street Lad, and Umbrigado as well. Barry, come to you here first. How are you seeing this?
Yeah, I have one here, but it's one of Joseph O'Brien's, but it's not the one that the money's been for in recent days. I was fancying A Wave of the Sea if he had gone to the Grand Annual. I thought that was a really good run last day, but yeah, it looks like he might be going to the plate according to the market. He's 9.6, along with Farclas, who's 9.4, 10.5. Failed Dudaris, Caribbean Boy 13.84, Conflated, Umbrigado in there at 14.5. The horse I like in it is Fells Dudaris. I just thought that was a really good run behind Envoy Allen in Punchestown when he was second. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths. Obviously, Envoy Allen won doing handsprings, but it was a good run. His run last day behind Monkfish, he's with them jumping the last. He just tired in the final 100 yards and that climb from the back of the last up to the winning post in Leopardstown. And his run against Braeside in December in Navan, that was a really nice win. I think he's got 142 in Ireland. He's only got an additional £3 off the English handicapper. He's rated 145, and he's a horse that I really like. Fellas, Dudaris, and I've been backing him at around the 16 and 14 mark on the exchange. I think he's currently trading like 10.5. I think that's still probably a fair price, but a watch and brief to see what they do with A Wave of the Sea.
Yeah, Fidu Dairy currently 14-1 best price on the grids. Andy, how are you seeing this?
Well, the good news for Barry and Irish fans is that they've all of a sudden woken up in this race. I think it was 33 years, wasn't it, until they won this race, and then they've had the last three, the old London bus scenario. So yeah, definitely a lightly raced novice fits the criteria. So he's definitely a player. Along with similar to Barry's notion there with Conflated. I do like that sort of graded form in and around the better Irish horses. You know, the solid time figures that I've been getting. And yeah, Conflated, who finished third to Monkfish the time before, didn't get the trip. He's got a similar profile. He's second to Astoria Collonge at Punchestown. I think left-handed is the key to him because he jumps out to his left on right-handed tracks. And he was good the time before at Navan. So yeah, I'd probably be Conflated at this very moment in time. But this race and the Kim Muir, the two ones at the moment, I'm probably the most lukewarm about. I think chase races, these sort of big field chase races around Cheltenham, getting into rhythm and where you are and how the dynamics work out are so difficult to predict, where the hurdle race is a little bit less complex. So yeah, I'll probably end up chucking a few quid on the race on the day, but yeah, whether I'll stick anything up on my column is open to the question. But if I do, it might be Conflated.
Conflated, the tentative lukewarm selection for Andy Holding at the moment. Tony, anything a bit hotter for you?
No, haven't had a bet in the race. I was going to put up Roman de Sanam, but I contacted one of the owners and they said they're not going to go here. They're going to go to the Topham with it. I think this race would have been ideal for him. I don't think he truly stays 3 miles. Decent ground's ideal for him, but it sounds like they're going straight to entry instead of here. So in his likely absence, I haven't had a bet.
Fair enough, no bet there for Tony. We'll move on. 2 more races of the day and our Thursday, day 3 preview here. And next up is the Mares Novice Hurdle with Hookup and Royal Kahala, the 5-1 joint favourites. Rosie's Hollow 7-1, Gauloise 9-1, the Glancing Queen 10-1 alongside Glens of Antrim. A bit of blue for Glens of Antrim on the grids at the moment. And Andy, you know, it's another novice hurdle race. I'm hoping that your speed figures and your times and your ratings on that might provide a little bit of insight here.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, again, without wanting to sound too confident, I think this race isn't probably as hard as what it looks on paper. I bet 5 to on the field, but I can only see 3 horses winning this. First and foremost, there's only been 5 runnings of this race, and Willie Mullins has won every one. So there's a big steer for a start off. That cuts the field down quite to a manageable number. And the best form god is the Solarina Novices Hurdle run at Fairyhouse. You've had three of the horses that ship up here took part in that race. My view with Royal Kahala, who got beat that day, I napped her that day, is that perhaps she is better at Fairy House than anywhere else. I don't want to be too generalistic because she's never run at Cheltenham, so you've got to give her a chance. But she seems to be a heavy ground mare that likes that track. That's why I thought she was such a good thing that day. So the fact that Rosie's Hollow absolutely battered her that day suggests to me that Jonathan Sweeney's got a very, very good mare on his hands. He's brought her along steadily. She caught the eye first time at Nevin in a good race beyond Delvino. She went through the race like a good mare. She just needed the run. Good the next day at Fairy House, and then, like I say, won that graded Solarino, which is the best form guide, best time figure. And I think it's 7-1 because it's trained by Jonathan Sweeney. If this was Willie Mullins, this would also be a 2-1 poke. I think she's an amazing value. And the other one I quite like is Galuise, who obviously finished third in the Solarino. I think better ground will suit her at Cheltenham than that glue pot that day at Fairy House. She's probably not as big as strong a mare as Rosie's Hollow, who's more imposing. But like I say, Willie Mullins got a fantastic record in running his horses that run well in the Solarino, whether they've won or not. I prefer her to Hook Up, who I think is an absolute out-and-out 2-miler. Not sure even 2 mile 1, 2 mile 2 suits her that much. The stiff 2 mile 1 on the new course might just catch her out. And as I said, Royal Kahala, I think she's probably ground dependent and quickest ground might not be ideal for her. So I've backed 2 in this race, Rosie's Hollow and Galuise.
Rosie's Hollow, 7-1 best price, but that's not non-runner money back. 11-2 the best price if you want the insurance, which is with Betfair Sportsbook. Galwar's 9-1 around here. Barry, how do you see it?
It's not a race I have a very strong opinion in, and it's not a race I have a good record in. I always seem to take on Willie Mullins in it, so that'll show you what I know about Mares Novices Hurdles. Yeah, it's 9-2 to feel, like you say, 3 places on the sportsbook, non-runner money back. Hook Up 5, 11-2, Rosie's Hollow, Galway 8. I'd say the one thing, if you can get any price on it to be an Irish trained winner, that looks the biggest certainty of all time. But yeah, not a cup of tea race for me.
Cup of tea race for Barry. Glass of gin race for you, Tony?
I played 2 in the race. I'm a long-term backer of Hook Up. Unbelievably, she was 20-1, and it stayed there for a couple of days after that 4th at Leopardstown last time. That was just clearly madness about the level of form that she's shown there. The obvious doubts are her jumping, but I was willing to take the risk at a double-figure price. I think the price is long since sailed at 5-1, but I can see her going well. If they've, like I said, if they sorted out her jumping, then she has gone. I think she's going to go very well. And the other horse I've come round to in the last week or so is Tell Me Something Girl. I think she's 20-1, but I think if you want the insurance about her not turning up, you have to go back to 14. So you'd probably want to go all in at this stage and just hoping she gets there. Apparently Henry de Brombed's quite keen on her. You can see why. He gave this mare a break after winning at La Stole in September. Would love it if the ground turns up a decent again here. Ran really well after a break in a highly competitive Mares Handicap Hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival on probably ground that was maybe a bit too soft for her. Someone actually told me last night that you could even mark that run up because this is a filly that likes to go from the front. She stays a lot further than this as well. So I think the stiff nature of the track and hopefully a strong pace will play to her strengths as well. But apparently last time she was lining up, looking to get off on a lead, but there was a false start and she got shuffled back and. When they restarted, so she was never able to get to the front. So I think you can mark that performance up. She clearly needs to find 10 pounds a stone with some of these, but I think the potential is there. I like her profile, and at 20-1, I'm going to be paying to find out. So long term Hook Up, but that's no good to anybody listening now because the price is gone. But tell Me Something Girl, if she's still 16-1 plus. And the 20s still available when you're listening to this, then I think she's a decent each way shout as well.
Tell Me Something Girl there for Tony. We'll move on to the last race of the day on the Thursday, the 3rd day of the Cheltenham Festival, and it is the Kim Muir, where Run Wild Fred is the 5-1 favourite. Time to Get Up 6-1. Hold the Note and Dace Aber both 14-1, 16-1. Plenty of horses Shantu Flyer, Jerry's back, Mount Ida, 20-1 Snow Leopard S. But two single figure horses at the prices at the moment, Barry. Can we see past those two? And is the exchange agreeing that those two are kind of very much the strongest two in the market?
Yeah, very much so. Time to get up. Preference for him at 6.8 over Run Wild Fred, who's 7.2. It's 5 each of 2 on the sports book, where it's 5 places non-runner money back to each way punters. Desha Abba 10, along with Jerry's back 11. Holden No, Plan of Attack 12. 14 the Machine. I was giving that a bit of a chance, but again, I've no strong opinion in the race, and I won't bore you with anything I have to say about it.
Nor will I. So Tony, over to you.
I've had a little nibble on Shantu Flyer. He's got a brilliant course form and festive form as well. I know Paul Nicholls was very unhappy with the fact that he got raised £5 for a Wincanton second last time. I think he had a little moan up to the assessor and got £1 back. So up £4, I think that's not ideal. But given the horse's back form and Cheltenham form, I think he's 16's in the place. I think he might run into a place. And the Machine is I'm looking at on the exchanges over 16-1, edging towards 20-1 win only there. And if Remastered has done the business early on in the week or gone very close, then it can only enhance this one's claims. I backed him last time at Ascot, and I was a little bit disappointed with his finishing effort. He traded very short in the run. I think it's about 1.11, and so I was hoping he was up the straight. He was going to just master Remastered and pick up the money, but he didn't. But I think that was I like the winner. I like the second, and I can see the Machine going quite well off a mark of 142 if memory serves. I think there's some mileage in that mark, and hopefully the step up in trip won't be a problem either. But those are two I played at the moment. Nothing major. I wouldn't say interest bets at the moment, but I haven't got in big. But those are the two I backed each way.
A couple for the notebook at least. Andy, any you backed?
I haven't had a bet now, and the dynamics of this race obviously changed, haven't they? Have significantly, because we'd all be looking towards the amateur riders and what of the best amateur riders are likely to be booked for the sneaky ones. You would imagine that John Joe would have phoned up Derek O'Connor's agent and got him in touch with Time to Get Up. Had obviously they've been able to come over, and you'd imagine that Jamie Codd would have probably ridden Run Wild Fred if he was to run here. That's my summation anyway, but that obviously is not going to happen. And we've got normal professional jockeys on, but the market's almost reacted in that way from an anti-post perspective. Before they were given the complete block. I think that's what they were thinking, and they've been the best two back to horses. Time to Get Up and Run Wild Fred. I think the Machine's an interesting one. Tony's mentioned him. I think whichever race Remastered runs in early on in the week, he'll acquit himself with a good deal of credit, whether it's the Handicap or the National Chase. So the form line for the Machine is about as solid as anything in this race from a novice perspective. So if he was to run, I might have a look at him. But again, similar to the Paddy Power Plate, early on, I'd probably give this one a swerve.
The Machine, 16-1 best price if you want the non-runner money back insurance, or as Tony said, just touching 20-1 win only on the Betfair exchange. Time now at the end, as we do for each day, to ask the panel of guests for their nap, for their lay, and their long shot of the day on Thursday. So Barry, coming to you first.
Yeah, that nap has to be Envoy Allen, but I'll be watching on. My lay is probably going to be Paisley Park, and my each way is going to be Flaise Dudaris.
Tony?
I like loads this day. If Blackbow runs, I think he's a great each way bet, 16-1 without the fab, no bet. But you might be listening to this and the horse hasn't even been entered, so I won't go there. Honest Vic each way at 20-1 plus is interesting. No, I'm going to go Side de Burley 8-1, 4 places each way. I think that's very, very solid. I like 2 others in the race. My lay so I'm going pretty much all in on this race. I would suggest you lay at the current exchange prices as we sit here now. If you lay Paisley Park and Time Hill, you can get them in the book around about the 11 to 8 mark, and you can have the field running for you at 8 to 11. I quite like the look of that. And my outsider is Honest Vic.
Honest Vic, the outsider for Tony. Andy, what are your three?
I won't have a strong view on a lay in particular here, rather because there's not a real short one I want to take on, and there's only really Envoy Allen. I've just got lots of each way sneaky opinions on this day. My strongest one would probably be Rose's Hollow. That's the race I've had a good go at. Cider Burley, obviously another one I've had a good go at. He's another that falls into that category. So yeah, I won't want to just stick a layup for sticking a layup sake. I haven't really got one on that day where I can think, right, yeah, I'm desperate to take that on. On whatever happens.
We haven't got prices, but I on the day, again, we don't know the final fields, we don't know the betting, etc. But I might be, if you're looking for a lay, I might be looking to lay Imperial Alcazar for a place, maybe at not too big a price, but. I love that phrase. I knew I've had a good go at it, so I love that. That's a real punter's phrase. I've had too much on.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thank you very much for taking the time to watch or listen to this preview of the Thursday at the 2021 Cheltenham Festival, brought to you by oddschecker and Betfair. Please do go back and watch or listen to Tuesday's episode, Wednesday's episode, and Friday's. The four of us have done all four, and fingers crossed lifted the lid and given and shone some light on some value for you over the week at Cheltenham. Do check out Betfair Sportsbook and the Betfair Exchange as well. Do download the oddschecker app for the very best prices, place terms, betting offers, all sorts of things, and of course some of the best tipsters in the game, including Andy himself. Do enjoy the racing and please gamble responsibly.